Thanks for checking out this episode. Remember, it's presented by Minnesota's very own Ticket King. If you're looking for tickets for an upcoming game at Target Field or the new CHS Field, visit TicketKingOnline.com or a quick link from the 1500ESPN.com sports calendar page. Ticket King has all your summer tickets for baseball and soccer, plus all the hottest concerts, theater shows, and more. Ticket King can also take care of you for out-of-town concerts or sporting events. Local service with a national reach. Visit TicketKingOnline.com or call 612-341-4131.
Sports chatter over beers with your friends is fun. Sports chatter over beers with the 1500 ESPN crew, that's even more fun. It's time for the Sports Over Beers podcast with Derek Wetmore and a cast of other brew lovers from 1500 ESPN.
All right, welcome to another episode of Sports Over Beers. Kind of a new and improved Sports Over Beers. Not only because we have actual video this time around, we also have Ben Goessling from ESPN.com to join Derek Wetmore,
one of our
Judd
favorites.
Zulgad. I'm Phil Mackey.
This is one of my favorite shows to do, Derek. I appreciate you saying that.
I love how Ben had to upstage us. We have these like $10 label-less microphones.
Yeah,
and you had to come in here and go all mothership on us.
I mean,
here.
I don't want a big time, but I just happen to have this laying around.
You dropped it, you broke it, and you had to tape it together. Let's be honest.
Share the industry secrets,
It's all taped
Judd.
together.
That's easily the best part of this
So
story.
do you have to travel around with this thing? Like
Yes.
this? So everywhere
Yes.
you go, ESPN says tripod and flag microphone.
I mean, every game we do, they have whoever's the home writer bring their tripod and a microphone because we do videos after the game. So, yeah, I guess I don't have to travel with it. I'm usually, when I'm at home, I do. There have been a few times where I've had to travel with it. It's just, they want quick videos a lot of the time.
You
I
got
don't
to
think
be on the ready.
the camera can't pick this up, I don't think, but you've got you broke this before we turned
Yeah, that's what
So
I
this
said.
is-
It's
actually
got a
found
piece
some
of tape
tape
hanging
here.
from it.
This is easily the best part of the story for viewers and for listeners. Ben was breaking out his microphone with the 4 letters on it to do this episode of the Sports Over Beers. And as he's making some kind of joking gesture towards me with the microphone, drops it and shatters on the floor just before we started
Fortunately,
this recording.
Bradley's and Mankato had electrical tape or whatever that was.
They're
packing
very helpful.
tape. I think it was packing tape. But, yeah,
It looks just fine now.
we'll get a new one in a week.
Plus, I think your company is going through some budget cuts right now anyway,
Yeah.
so this is
You're not
okay.
getting
this
a
is
new
about
mic
as good
flag.
as it's going to get. Speaking of the mothership, Ben, your, I would assume, coworker, Casey Joyner,
Yep.
right? Even though there's like hundreds of coworkers
Yeah,
and
we have a
thousands at ESPN.com. He wrote a piece last week. I think we should just jump off with this. 3 Super Bowl sleepers going into the 2015 season, and the Vikings were the number 1 on his list.
Mm-hmm.
And he cited 3 offensive reasons: Teddy Bridgewater improving, Mike Wallace added to the offense, and then Adrian Peterson back after almost a 1-year hiatus. So let's just start with you. You cover the Vikings for ESPN.com. Are the Vikings a legit Super Bowl sleeper, or was Casey Joyner way out over his skis on that article?
Well, it depends on what Teddy Bridgewater does, I think. I mean, if he takes the step, then, yeah, you could call him a sleeper. I think they have a chance to be a playoff team. I have a little bit of a hard time seeing them get past the non-sleeper teams like Seattle and Green Bay, maybe Dallas, depending on how good they are without DeMarco Murray and how all that looks. But, yeah, I mean, I think they're certainly a playoff caliber team, and beyond that, we'll see. I mean, the nice thing for them is that there's enough uncertainty in the NFC now that if you get in, I mean, who knows? So, I mean, you don't know what Philadelphia is going to be with the retooling everything. You don't know about San Francisco anymore. Arizona, they have their own issues on offense. There are a
That's
lot
my
of
team.
things.
Be careful.
That,
Cardinals
Arizona?
are my team.
Judd loves the
I
Cardinals.
ranked them in the top 5 all last year.
Sleepers are not going to be, finished products all the time. So, but I think I think sleeper, sure. I don't know how realistic it is, but how realistic is any sleeper?
Are they even a sleeper anymore if everyone picks them to be a sleeper?
They are becoming
when do you
that
stop
team
being a
that-
sleeper?
They have to be because they finished 7-9 last year, and it's not like this thing is all set up for them to just march through the playoffs. I think we're all heaping on praise, and nationally too. This is kind of the darling team.
They're
right?
very buzzy.
But with all that being said, I mean, they still have a second-year quarterback. You don't know what you're getting from Adrian Peterson, and as many promising signs as you saw from guys like Norv Turner, Mike Zimmer, a year ago, do you really fully know what you have there? I get what you're saying, that are they still a sleeper if nobody's sleeping on them? But I think more people should be sleeping on this team, to put it that way.
But here's the problem. Every year in this league, as you guys know, there's approximately, I would say, in the entire league, 3 teams that pop up. And we've now gotten to a point where a guy like Casey Joyner looks at all these teams and says, okay, who pops up? For instance, I'll tell you right now, I'm not going to be shocked if the Falcons pop up. Somebody like that. The Vikings, because in their mind they have the quarterback position solidified, I think the experts see them as being good. That being said, if you look at the schedule to me, the Vikings are an 8-8 team, and the Vikings are doing things right. They're trying to build something. I think the dangerous thing is when your front office looks at your team and says, we're a sleeper. You don't want to say that. You want to say we're building something. So I think if you ask Rick Spielman and the Vikings, what do you want? I think they would say that we're trying to go up a hill right now, and we're halfway there. The experts look at the Vikings and say, you know what? If their quarterback hits and Peterson comes back, they're really good. It's still a big if.
It is kind of amazing, though, that they went 7-9 last year with all the things that happened. I mean, think about it wasn't 2010-esque, because 2010 was, roof collapsing and everything. But the fact that they lost their star running back, and Matt Asiata, who is the reincarnation of Leroy Horde, was your main running back for...
That's an insult to Horde, by the way.
And yeah, maybe it is. And you had 2 different quarterbacks, including a rookie for most of the season.
3.
Christian Ponder started a game
Don't forget
last
Christian
year.
Ponder.
New coaching staff, new systems all over the place, completely new defensive system, and you still managed to win 7 games in a division where most people were picking all 3 of those other teams to either flirt with the playoffs or be in the playoffs. So if you just start with that and build off that and then add everything that Casey Joyner mentions in the piece, which is maybe Bridgewater gets a year better, maybe Adrian isn't out of gas yet, I can see the jump to playoff sleeper or playoff contender, but to take it to that next level for a Super Bowl contender, man, I mean, Aaron Rodgers, Packers, obviously even Tony Romo and the Dallas Cowboys, they're not going away. That offensive line is a brick wall. So Seattle Seahawks are the best team in the NFC. So I don't know. I would have to disagree with Casey Joyner, but I do think if I'm picking right now, they're a playoff team.
Yeah, I'd agree. I mean, to me, the thing... Getting to the playoffs and winning in the playoffs are 2 different things.
Yes.
I mean, they didn't beat a team with a winning record last year. You have to see them do that at some point. You're going to have to see them win some big games before you can say they're a contender. I mean, you even look at teams that get called contenders every year. I mean, a guy like Aaron Rodgers, since the Packers won the Super Bowl, I think he's won... 1 or 2 playoff games. One was against Joe Webb. So, I mean, even guys like that.
Are you throwing shade at Aaron Rodgers right now?
Well, I did put him on the hot seat in our NFC North Roundtable a few weeks ago. And
Wait. Time out. What?
The hot seat in the sense of he's going to be 32 in December. You know he wants to win more Super Bowls than Favre. Not in the sense of getting fired. Packer fans, I've heard from a couple about this, as you might expect. If he wants to be remembered as one of the all-time greats, he's got to win another Super Bowl or 2, and the window's never going to get any bigger than it is now. He's had some playoff performances that aren't that great. So, point being, even some of these great quarterbacks have trouble winning consistently in the playoffs. I mean, if you're there every year, you are going to lose some of the time that you're there, but learning how to win in the playoffs, to me, is a little bit of a different animal than just getting there.
Yeah, and so I'm working on a piece today for the website, for 1500ESPN.com. I want your opinion on it because Norv Turner talked today after the walkthrough about sort of the importance of closing. Mm-hmm. And in football, everyone talks about like the fourth quarter being, that's kind of when you win and lose games. And Norv dropped a stat, and I don't know if this is true. I'm going to look this up, but he said something like 70% of NFL games are decided by less than a touchdown. And so, obviously that's pretty incredible, and it would lend credence to his theory that the end of a game is drastically important. So his point was that he watches players when he's out here in Mankato, their final 15 minutes of practice, how they practice in that time is the most important thing to him. He doesn't really care how they open practice. Of course, you want them to still be practicing cleanly and having energy and focus and attention. But the final 15 minutes, he said, can separate people. And so I think that it's a learned trait. I don't think you just have this ability to, I'm really tired. I've got stamina, but so does everybody here. We're all great athletes. I'm going to be mentally stronger than you just because I was born with it. I think you have to be in enough of those situations and repeated repetition with being in a spot where it's important to perform well when you're tired, to sort of develop that mentality. And I think that's a team trait too. And I just don't know that the Vikings have been enough of those settings in the playoffs, for example, where they could really get through it. I think you learn to win at different stages.
They've had a lot of trouble closing regular season games the
Right.
last couple of years. I mean, a lot of those were in the old regime, but they had
Sure.
trouble with that a couple times last year, too.
The Miami loss was a bad one. Chicago,
Perfect
right?
example.
Buffalo.
Perfect examples at Chicago.
Yeah.
Clock malfunctions. It affected them. Now,
No question.
for a mentally weak team, that gets to you. But they gave themselves, when the clock malfunctioned in Chicago, they had no chance to win that game based on the circumstance. That completely undermined them at that time. And that's the type of thing that Zimmer and this coaching staff has talked about. That type of thing is going to happen. Weird stuff's going to happen. How do you respond to that? And I think they're expecting a big step up, Ben, from these guys in year 2 in that sense.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, even you hear things like in that great piece that Brian Murphy did a couple weeks ago with Mike Zimmer. Zimmer's talking about, giving them all of these situational quizzes, wanting everybody to know, even if you're
Not even football quizzes. Just name the state capitals. I have no idea. I'm
Mississippi.
sorry.
what's the square root of 217? Go. All of these situations that, if you're a defensive player, knowing when do I spike the ball, when do I try to run another play, that's not something that is going to affect you per se, but he wants everybody on the team to be on board with what it takes to win those games late, probably because he knows he needs to do some things to help his end-of-game management situations too. So, yeah, that certainly is a focus for them, being able to close and close well.
Did we ever figure out what happened with that clock malfunction in Chicago? Like, was that deemed the shady business we thought it was
Did
at
the Bears
Soldier
cheat
Field?
possibly? No, that never happened.
Yeah.
That'd be like a team deflating footballs.
Every mayor race in Chicago is completely fair too, isn't it? Right.
Exactly.
Never
Right.
any
That was
dead bodies on the
A
voting
stroke
rolls.
of genius, by the way, by the Bears. What
Are
can
you
we do?
blaming-
See,
What
so-
can we do?
Well,
Let's see.
so what happens? Let's say that exact same thing happens in the NFC Championship game.
Well, now they know how to deal with it.
Let's say it's very much a Patriots-like scenario where it's Bears. Well, hell, let's say it's the Patriots.
Yeah.
If it was the Patriots in the AFC Championship game against the Colts, and it was a closer game, and the clock malfunctions, and it benefits the Patriots because the Colts have the ball, wouldn't there have been the same league investigation?
Firing
or,
squad right there.
There was a blackout in the Super Bowl a couple of years ago.
That's
we
true.
forget
That
about
was
that.
cheers.
Yep. Well, I
You're
think
exactly right.
I just want to clarify here. Are you blaming the clocks malfunctioning at Soldier Field on Blagojevich, or is there a deeper seated?
He
joke
certainly
here that I
is. It bears some responsibility. I mean, probably
No
Richard
doubt.
Daley's involved somewhere.
No doubt.
Obama's from there. It's probably his fault some way.
Here-
That's
here's
the
a
thing to say,
very-
right?
Here's a very interesting example. At least it's interesting to me. I guess I'll let you guys be the judge. Is that now that they've gone through that situation that you don't really foresee, right? When Rick Spielman gave a quiz of late game situations to Mike Zimmer in training camp last year, I guarantee he didn't say, okay, fourth quarter, clock's winding down, we need a 2-minute to win it, and you don't have use of the stadium clocks. What do you do?
Because the Chicago Park Board's about to disable the clocks because this stadium sucks.
And there's a 4-foot deep sinkhole in the middle of Soldier Field.
Yeah, but besides that, it's all
What do
fair.
you do? Okay, so I guess that didn't come up on the quiz, which is fine, although maybe a lack of foresight by Rick Spielman. Now that they've been through that, right, Zimmer said the solution would be really, really simple. He would have a guy standing next to him,
Yes.
just somebody low on the coaching staff,
He
whatever.
talked about that last
and he
year.
said, okay,
Yeah.
hold the watch next to me. You keep the game clock.
Dude,
that
you
way
know-
we'll have a good idea.
But you've hit on something, and I don't know why. So you've got offensive coordinator, special teams coordinator, defensive coordinator, all levels of football going down to high school even.
Yeah, I like
Why
that
is
thought.
there not a game management, game clock,
Right.
game scenario coordinator? Some guy, whatever, pay him $100,000. I know they have guys who are quality control, and they have guys who are supposed to count the number of players on the field and certain things like that. But shouldn't you have someone in your hip pocket if you're a coach? And if we're going to name
He's just a Madden all-star.
right? Just yes, and that's
Who's
not that
doing
far
what?
off.
I'm telling you what to do or what?
Well, we
What
named.
would this person be doing?
Well, I mean, I think it's obvious, right? I think the person would tell you, hey, there's X amount of time on the clock.
You want
and
this
you have this
timeout.
amount of timeout.
Okay.
So
Here's the problem.
strategically,
I see what
you
you're
should
saying.
call a timeout before the 2-minute warning instead of after to save yourself 5 seconds or something like that.
Two problems there. One, ego gets in the way because these coaches think they can do it.
but that's
And here's-
ridiculous.
And here's your other
That's
problem.
ridiculous.
But here is the other problem, and this is the problem for coaches who call plays. They're on dual headsets, so I flip back and forth on my belt from offense to defense. So if I'm calling plays for the offense, for instance, and I stay on offense too long, I'm missing things on defense.
Yep.
So coaches will say, I don't want another guy in my hip pocket because I'm already trying to multitask.
But all he has to do, he doesn't even have to discuss anything with you. It's not, hey, coach, I think
You're
we should
saying
do
a bench
it's,
coach.
Hey, coach, you should do this right now.
Coach, call a timeout.
But Ben, I'm talking about
This
pushback.
isn't my
Put full
opinion.
trust in him.
Yeah.
Yes.
Pushback here.
I agree, and I think, the ego thing, you bring that up. You talk about, some coaches are, like Mike McCarthy, for example, now is the big thing was made out of he's not calling plays anymore, so he can be overarching late game situations in terms of who's making the call. If it doesn't work, he's still going to have to be the guy that answers to all of us about it after the game. At some point, you say, it's my operation, I want my name on it, and at some point you say, if I delegate too much, what do they need me for? You're still doing everything during the week, game planning and all of that, but there is an element of ego, there's an element of control that I think would muck that up a little bit.
with I agree, but with as much as coaches are screwing up, wouldn't there be some sort of competitive advantage to the 2 or 6 or 10 coaches who would be willing to say,
Sure.
hey, ego set aside, let's win the game management battle?
There would be some teams that would be willing to
I would think that there would be, especially sort of, I would think, lesser established head coaches or the really established head coach. Your microphone doing
Are
it?
you okay there? Your microphone
break
flag is
again?
breaking right now.
Oh, my
I
God, the
told-
worldwide
just the
leader's falling
greatest.
apart.
Yeah.
Just the greatest.
First it's Bill Simmons, then it's Colin Cowherd, Keith Olbermann, and now it's the mic flags, dude. This is bad.
Okay, wouldn't that make sense though for a coach like Mike Zimmer would be a perfect example, or a coach like Bill Belichick, who I think would openly admit if you would talk to them about some game management stuff, like that's hard. It's hard to be thinking about formations and personnel and the injuries that went on through the game and trends that they're trying to do to you and game planning that you went throughout the week. And then, oh yeah, by the way, manage the clock perfectly. I'm not talking like manage it well. Like there's an optimal way to do it. And you would have to have somebody, and that's his
What
or
you're
her
saying,
only job.
Derek, on the surface makes total sense. What I'm telling you is they would come back and say, it's another guy in my hip pocket, and I've
Right.
got so much going on game day. You would almost need to get a coach who had an understanding of statistics, analytics, things like
love it.
that. Because what you have in traditional football people is people saying, I've got so much going on that if a guy is in my hip pocket. Now, the clock situation in Chicago opens to me an interesting discussion, which is, should you have somebody, and clearly you should, who can follow you around and if, God forbid, the thing malfunctions, can help you out? Because that was the key thing. And Bridgewater, the problem in Chicago, I thought, was twofold. Bridgewater was lost. He's a rookie. I don't blame him. Zimmer looked lost. That can't happen. So if I'm Zimmer or I'm a head coach after that, I am reconsidering and saying I at least want a person there that can give me every specific.
So, okay, I agree with what you're saying, that there's a lot of old thinking and a lot of, well, this is the way we've always done it, or I don't feel comfortable having another voice in my, we're being battled by flies here.
Tough job.
But I think that almost leads to a sort of a natural selection process of, because I'm sure if you go back in time, this is a dumb example, but that forward pass, that's a fad, right? Well, eventually, if you're the coach in the 1930s who doesn't embrace the forward pass, well, you're fired.
And the person who is the best at embracing that has a 2-year head start on the other
Correct.
teams who eventually pick it up.
So at some point, if a coach does, and maybe some teams are doing this without titles, and we don't know about it, a coach that embraces that aspect, I think, has an extra edge. Maybe it's worth a half game a year or a game a year or something. If you're on the bottom rung now and you're not embracing that at all, then you're just going to be eaten up by natural selection, right?
I bet you coaches are already, you can probably speak to this better than I can, Ben, already viewing the analytics of, like my personal favorite example is 4th down, like 4th and 1. Just go for it. You're not going to gain very much in the field position battle, which coaches always like to win, by punting it. And no, you're not going to convert every single 4th down, but the percentage chance that you do convert that is worth it over the full season worth of plays, of 4th and 1 plays. So coaches and teams are already looking at this stuff, but also keeping in mind that that's on average, and you have to weigh that against game situation and personnel and all of that kind of stuff. So the decision's more difficult than that, but you should definitely know the stats if you're in charge of that decision.
The problem there is thinking about it over the course of the season works great in baseball, but in an NFL season, one decision or two decisions or whatever it happens to be can change the course of your season, and you get a lot of coaches that, I mean, yes, the numbers would say that you should go for it more often than not on fourth down. I think Kevin Seifert is a big proponent of this. But if you have a situation where you lose a game that's going to cost you a playoff spot, you're going to have to answer to the media. You're going to have to answer to your superiors. You're going to have to answer to probably players that wondered what happened in a given situation. There's so much riding on any given game, it gets hard to think about these things globally.
Yeah, I agree.
And I think it's safe to say that no sport holds on to its history and tradition more than baseball, but no sport holds on to its beliefs more than football, which is we've always punted on fourth down. That's the way we always do it.
Yeah.
We're not going to change now because if we don't make it, people will be in trouble and lose their jobs. Football, as Ben can attest, it's getting more forward-thinking, and there's new things being introduced, but it is the slowest sport to take on. And this speaks to why Spielman will tell you that he believes in new methods and things, but doesn't want to tell you about them, because we really don't know how much he believes in these things. We know he might be looking at more statistics and more mounds and mounds of things that help him out, but we don't know how much he actually incorporates those things. And that's just how football people are. He's not alone in that sense.
So basically what we've learned on this podcast is sleeper Super Bowl candidate is a little aggressive, and NFL teams are still archaic and suck at clock management. Is that
Vikings
about right?
8-8, which won't put him in the playoffs, by the way. I like them, but I don't
You're
think
just
they're
going to go out there with
yet.
8-8 right now.
Mr.
I'm saying
Negative.
8-8. I'm saying with that schedule, they're going to go 8-8.
All right, Buzz Killington.
And the Packers will win the division, and the Vikings will have a nice season. I'm telling you, this team could surprise, but I don't see this team being built to win right now. I see this team being actually built, and I respect this. I see this team being built finally, instead of this whole notion of we finally got the pieces, let's go win. That gets you 1 year, and then you know what happens? You hit the cliff and you fall right off it.
Twins and Vikings might be in the same spot right now.
I agree.
Maybe last year
door
was
is
sort of
open.
the Twins this year was Vikings last year, where
Okay.
unexpected flirtation with 500 or success.
And potential young talent.
Yeah.
We're going to
I think
party
you're
like
exactly
it's
right.
2009.
Yeah. Really?
Twins and Vikings.
Oh, like it's 2000. Okay.
Yeah.
Think I'm
When
on play?
both of those teams
So we're
were
gonna
good.
party like it's a clean sweep out of the playoffs and a
Yeah.
heart crushing
Yeah.
defeat.
At
in the
least
NFC
they got
Championship
there.
game.
Don't bring
You
up
think
all
I might?
those
You
seasons
think I
after.
might come back?
This is Minnesota.
Like, people hear
Everything
party
ends
like
that
it's
way.
98 or party like it's 2009, and that's jumping off bridges.
Everything ends
All right.
that way in Minnesota.
As long as Teddy doesn't have Bernard Berrian wide open on the sideline and try and force the ball to Sidney Rice, we'll all be fine. Can I still play?
And
I don't know. I
That
can
sound
still
you
throw the
guys
ball.
just heard is all of our listeners unsubscribing from the Sports Over Beers.
Oh, no. It's them
Oh,
accepting
happy to
the
help.
fate of being a Viking fan.
Thanks, everybody.
Viking fans are very accepting. They know what their fate is.